loves. What's up? I'm gonna give it a minute or two to see if anyone's gonna be able to pop in live. Oops, hold on. Hold the phone. Okay. Always forget to mute, to actually mute YouTube. Let me know if you're here. Feel free to say hello in the chat. I may check it as we go. We shall see. Hello, hello. Lots of hearts. ACJ78. Who you be? Who you be? Who you be? Let me know who's here. All right. I know this was short notice, but that's pretty much how I do all live streams. Angela, hey mama, how are you? Aw. And I think you shared, did you share on my post the link to my YouTube? I think I saw you. I saw you do some kind of magic over on the Facebooks, and I appreciate you. Pamela, hello, queen. Oh my goodness, I love you too. I love you. Yeah. All right. Shall we? Shall we do the damn thing? All right, so this is something that has been pulling up my pants here. Gotta get ready. So this is something that's been in my soul for a long time. And if you've been working with me for a while, as a student, as a client, in whatever way, whatever shape or form, then you already know that I do a lot of anti-racism and BIWOC work, Black, Indigenous, women of color. In my business, it's specifically that I work with creators. I mean, that's across the board, whether, hey, Christina, whether it is around stuff around anti-racism, decolonization, or whether it's around simply dropping into your body, getting your message out into the world. Like everything is rooted in this deep fucking primal remembrance of who you are, so you can do what you came here to do. So however you've worked with me in the past, if you worked with me in my business, then you've obviously seen the way more unleashed me than if you've been a student of mine in various capacities. But you ain't seen nothing yet. Just saying, as some of you already know, you knew that this was coming. And with everything that's been happening, with the madness and the insanity of what's been happening in the world, and seeing the response, or the kind of love and light response from the white liberal, I'm so spiritual conscious community, either from like, hey everyone, I just want everyone to know how much you're loved, and sharing a bunch of Martin Luther King quotes, or not saying anything at all. It's been like, wow, these are people that I either have taken on as clients, or that I've mentored with, or that I simply know through, through the realms of the interwebs, right? And the conscious community, whatever. And seeing different, like, and people who are celebrities, actors, authors, all of these things, and seeing this reactiveness around them not being willing and being unable to actually step up and lean in to the discomfort of what is happening. Seeing so many people talk about how surprised they are and how they can't believe that this is happening, and oh my God, like, is this real? Is this actually a thing? I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I'm so sorry that this is the world. And this is this is like, if you say sorry, like, it's great. It's great. At least you're seeing something. But what Black people do not need, and I'm not going to say that I speak for all Black people, because good Lord, that is not the case, and it will never be the case. I don't speak for all people of color, never have, never will. But what has come through to me, what comes through me, what is the transmission that I know, the truth that I know today, is that Black people do not need people saying like, oh, we're here, and I'm so sorry that this is happening. Silence, fucking radio silence, between now and then the next very highly publicized Black body that happens to hit the street. We don't need that. We don't want that. We're not fucking here for that, and we're done with it. If you actually want to take a stand, then take a stand. That means that it's time for you to look at your own inherent complicity in what you are allowing to continue in the world. Now, my Black folks, my Indigenous, my other women of color. Like, yes, this is calling your ass to the flame as well. This is calling my ass to the flame as well, because everyone has a different range of privilege around whatever, around light skin, dark skin, around how much internalized anti-Blackness we each hold in our own bodies, which we will get into, around where we live, the country we live, where we grew up in that country, which side of the border we happen to be born onto versus where we live now, who we know, who we've been introduced to, all sorts of things, right? Everything. All the things. Everyone has some sort of privilege, but specifically when we're talking around something like anti-Blackness, it is something that is so deeply encoded into everyone's body. I don't care where you're from, or how progressive you think you are, or how #woke you believe yourself to be. You own anti-Blackness in your body as much as you have your breath. It is there. You cannot run from it. You cannot hide from it. And I, for one, am not going to fucking stand by and allow you to pretend that, like, when you come and you hang out with me, that you can pretend that it's not a thing, and that you can be oh so surprised when something like this happens. Now, if you're feeling all up in your triggers, I invite you to hold yourself, to breathe, to drop that shit into your body, to notice how these triggers can take you into your deepest teachings and truth, so that you can actually take a stand for the thing that you say that you stand for, so that you can actually be the person that you say that you are. Because you cannot be the creator, the messenger, the medicine woman. You cannot be the person who affects change, who wants to be the person who affects the ripple effect out into the world, if you are not willing to look at your own inherent and encoded, internalized, if you're a person of color, encoded, if you're a white body, that anti-Blackness that lives in you. It lives inside of you. It has been there since you were birthed, in whatever way you were birthed, and you entered this world. That anti-Blackness was beginning to be encoded into your body, into your system, into your very fucking breath from day one, moment one. And we can pretend that it's all love and light, and we can pretend that as long as I donate to the right causes, or as long as I make a specific post on Instagram, as long as I tag, if I tag Sean King and the Action Pack and Grassroots Law and and Lee Merritt, then hey, I'm good. I've done my work. I read a book. I did one program around anti-racism. No, like, I can't even say that's the beginning. That's like a well, I guess I've been willing enough to look at something. I am willing enough for people to think that I give a shit. That's pretty much that's pretty much all it is, right? What really matters, what I'm down for, what I'm here for, what I invite you to be here for, is the actual work, which is the uncomfortable, hard, crunchy shit that calls your ass to the fire over and over and over again, where you no longer get to close your eyes to the pain and the atrocities that affect Black bodies every single moment of every single day. I'm going to read you some stuff from Resmaa Menakem. He is one of my mentors. I've been studying under him even before he knew, I was even a person, who I was, or that I existed. I'm going to read some stuff from him for you. I'm going to put up resources on my site, White Bodies and BIWOC Bodies. I invite you to go check out these resources. They're not up yet. My high level clients, depending, we can talk about this. BIWOC, of course, we'll always fucking go down into this. This is the shit. Yeah, yes. And I'm taking it to the next level. So if you're down, get at me. You can join Skin now if you're ready. It's nikkakarli.com/skin. It's a monthly membership. If you're wanting to do higher level work because you're ready to go, just go into a higher level of commitment, then just DM me on Instagram, White Bodies. Check out the resource guide. Depending on who you are and the energy that I get from you, if you're ready to step into high level one-on-one work with me around your message, the medicine of your soul, and that anti-racism and anti-Blackness is a part of that, then we can talk about that on a case-by-case basis. However, everyone else, the resource guide is the resource guide. Go into it, do the work. I am not here to, hey, but you didn't include the link for this one thing. It's called Google. Go Google it. No emotional labor from me. I'm not I'm fucking not. And on any other Black or brown person that you're expecting, like, oh my gosh, you've provided something and now I want you to provide everything, I'm going to invite you to check yourself, get back into your body, get back into your breath, calm down your nervous system, and then go find it on your own. Do the fucking work. Hire a coach who specifically works with white folks around anti-racism, preferably one who works with anti-Blackness as a part of their anti-racism work. Yeah. Okay. So Resmaa Menakem, if you have not read his book, this is his book. This is his book right here. It is My Grandmother's Hands. YouTube, Zoom, it's always slow. So I have no idea if this is actually in the frame. I hope you can see this. I hope you can see this. Resmaa Menakem, My Grandmother's Hands. It is a full-on somatic abolitionist approach to anti-Blackness, to anti-racism. Yes, they're different, very different. But here's something that he talks about: traumatic dissonance. This is something, psychologically that you might have already heard about. It is awesome. Thank you, love. That you might have already heard about, that you might already know, that you might have already worked with, depending on your own background and all that shit. But traumatic dissonance, to me, or when it comes to racism, right? It's an uncomfortable, disharmonious, and often harmful behaviors resulting from conflicting or inconsistent thoughts, ideas, concepts that are born from systemic or institutionalized trauma. That's what it is to me. That is traumatic dissonance. I'm going to read it again because I know I talk really fast. Uncomfortable, disharmonious, and often harmful behaviors resulting from conflicting or inconsistent thoughts, ideas, or concepts that are born from systemic or institutionalized trauma. I will probably add this to the resource guide just so you can read that, right? If you want to. So this means like everything that begins to happen in your body. When I walk into an elevator and a white woman eases away as far as she can, hugs the wall, hugs her purse to her body, refuses to make eye contact, or gives me the like the please don't hurt me, Black person, please don't hurt me. When that happens, that is some dissonance in her body that has been stored and passed down from generations to generations, that as soon as she sees a Black body, it is an automatic threat to her. This is also internalized within Black and brown bodies around anti-Blackness. You'll see this in so many different societies of color where they sell bleaching cream and skin whitening cream, and everyone is trying to change their hair and straighten their hair, and nothing wrong with that. If you want to do it, hey, I'm definitely not down with bleaching of your skin in order to look white. And also, I know many people who have done skin bleaching. I did skin bleaching when I was a teenager because I am super fucking hairy, and I wanted blonde. Like, I was like, if it goes blonde, then you can't see it as much, and I won't feel like fucking just like so hairy. I got over that. One, because I have super fucking sensitive skin, and it did nothing to. It made my hair orange. Thank God it didn't actually change my skin color. I didn't realize that it could. This is why teenagers probably should not be doing, shit like that. But I thought it would just change the color of my hair. It did. It made it orange. Thank God it didn't change the color of my skin. Not something that I agree with, but I know that it's something that many, 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 many fucking cultures do. Again, going back into the own passed down and encoded anti-Blackness, that if you are dark skinned, you are less than. If you, even in Black society, a long time ago, there was like a brown paper bag test. If you were darker than the brown paper bag, then nope, you weren't let into certain clubs. You weren't allowed to mix and mingle and make offspring because they were going to come out too Black. This stuff is encoded in white bodies. It is internalized in Black and brown bodies. It is perpetuated with other people of color and Black folks as well, making all of these assumptions, having all of this fear, saying, well, oh my gosh, talking all kinds of things, having all kinds of biases against specifically the Black body. It is what allows Black bodies to be targeted by police, so racism is a system. It is an institutionalized, it's an institution of systemic processes that are passed down, that are encoded and infused into an entire society, into the criminal, it's not justice, but the criminal, the legal system, which is, I mean, it's illegal depending on who you are. It's passed down into churches and religions. It's passed down into schools and education. It's passed down into healthcare. Look at the mortality rate of Black women in America. Look at the fibroid issue with Black women in America. This is not an issue with Black-bodied women in other countries, in Africa specifically, continent, but in specific countries of Africa where there was less of a slave presence, and a slavery, pulling out and full-on disruption of the countries. So depending on where it was in Africa, so different countries, it would be different. But compared to Black women in America, the fibroid issue is not there. The fibroids are a result of the systemic, encoded, racialized and sexualized trauma in bodies of Black women that have been passed down in America, where it had not been safe for you to even have a child. Like, so your uterus would actually go into effect, and it was like, yeah, let's just not make this happen, because that child would be stolen, would be raped, would be killed, would be lynched, would be all of these things if you had that baby. And so there were many different reasons that went into, like, your baby was very likely to be passed into doing medical experiments without their permission, so many things. And there's so much trauma and around how many Black women were assaulted by slave masters, were called out for doing absolutely nothing, and their punishment was, again, sexual assault and rape and all of these things. Breathe. If you need to breathe, get up, shake your body, come back down, notice the discomfort, and keep going, keep dropping in. Okay. So all of this stuff that's different in all of the body. Yes, the fibroids. It is a completely different situation. It is a Black women in America issue. That is and I don't ask me where the studies are. You can Google the studies. I can't. You guys, anyone who knows me, I'm not good with remembering which studies and who said what and blah, blah, blah. But you can Google studies. But yes, like, it's one of those, the things that is passed down from slavery, right? Okay, back to traumatic dissonance. So doesn't matter if it's around, like you don't have to have a cognitive thought around, oh my gosh, Black person, danger, right? Like, you don't have to have these things. It doesn't have to be this conscious thought, this conscious, like, oh my gosh. It is something that is so deeply encoded into everyone's bodies that Black is wrong. You'll hear this. I was talking with a coach, and it was around, oh God, what were we talking about? I totally just lost it. No, I was talking with some other students working with the coach. And I was talking about books and how even in fiction, it is a system of racism, which is a whole, like, I know it's an entire thing, but an entire talk, which I might get into. We'll see. Not today, another time. But in like sci-fi fantasy books, you will see white writers, white authors refer to the good people as using white magic and the bad people as using Black magic. And you might say, oh, like that, duh, because it's Black magic. No. That is born out of racism. That is born out of a complete institution that systemically across the board sends out this dissonance to Blackness. And even in something like magic, where you're like, it's magic, how could that possibly, like, it's fiction book, right? Like, who's going to be bringing in, no. This goes, if you've ever read a book, or written a book, but if you ever read a book, and white authors will describe, they will do all sorts of things. Oh, and the African-American man with the such and such hair, and how his hair was so tightly coiled, and the woman, and the this and this, and he was Mexican, and this and this, and he was like, and they will describe, it will make sure that you know that this character is not white. If it's a white character, it's like, yes, and he had glasses and wore a flannel shirt. And it is a presumption that, of course, he's white, because the white is the standard. So of course the character is white. If he's not, I'll tell you. But if he's white, then I don't have to tell you, because, I mean, duh, of course he's white, because that's the standard. This is how deep this goes, right? This is how deep this goes. Yes. I don't study voodoo, but yes, like everything. It goes into everything. Voodoo, Vodun, like it goes into everything. Okay, I'm gonna get back to this fucking traumatic dissonance. All right. So Resma's quote. I'm gonna take. All right, here we go. And this is from an exhibit that that Resma was a part of. And it is: the poor white body was colonized, raped, traumatized, exposed to land theft, genocide. And I said the poor white body. Make note of that. The poor white body. To land theft, genocide, class enslavement, plague, crusades, inquisitions, and torn apart for 1,000 years by more powerful white bodies. Less powerful white bodies have tried to soothe those savage middle dark age wounds and remember itself after being dismembered. To quell the dissonance between white bodies, powerful white bodies created through law and institutions the supremacy of the white body. These powerful white bodies created the white body to be the supreme standard by which all bodies, humanity should be measured. Are you hearing me? Yes. Again, Resma Menakem, his book is My Grandmother's Hands. This is from an exhibit he did. This next quote is from the book. Again, breathe, move your body, shake, stay with it. A white body with centuries of traumatic dissonance in its DNA encountered a black body. The white body experienced reflexive fear just from encountering a black body, okay? In a fraction of a second, this fear activated the white body's unmetabolized historical trauma, which in turn reflexively triggered a flight, flee, or freeze response. The white body destroyed the black body, a body that it feared was dangerous and imagined what was impervious to pain. This was exactly what the body was conditioned and trained to do. So like this is conditioning. If you think that racism is new, if you think that black men and black women being killed in the streets and murdered in their homes and being out for a run, if you saw my post that led into didn't lead into this live stream, but that like let you know I was doing a fucking live stream, then this is something like me going out for a run. Every single time I go, I'm like, well, I mean, let's see what happens. Let's see. If there's a white person, I've got to like eyeball them. There is a hypervigilance that has to be had in order, like just in case. So even in my run, even on my run where I'm just like, yeah, like this is like, oh, fuck, on my run, like this is yes. And then if there's a white person coming to me, it's like, whoa, are we good? You good? Great. Okay. Like you're not going to start some shit. Great. I see police roll by. There's an automatic like, oh, great. Let's see. I'm not doing anything except fucking running. I'm on a run. Like I wish I had it over here. Like a fucking running fanny pack. Like I highly doubt that if I was like going to be some like super dope, criminal mastermind, that I'd be running around with a fucking fanny pack on. However, I'm in black skin, which means that me going for a run, every single time that I go for a run, there is a chance that I don't come home. Every single other black person that goes to the grocery store, that goes to walk to their mailbox, I get eyeballed in my own neighborhood. Like, are you, okay, all the time. This is not new. Racism is not new. This dissonance is not new. If you missed the readings of what I just read from Resma, you need to don't hop off right now and rewind, because that wouldn't be possible. When this is over, rewind and listen to them again. Listen to them over and over and over and over. And when you think you're like, oh yeah, I got it, listen to it again. Because if you've ever been in shock and awe about the atrocities that are inflicted upon black bodies to this day, no, there's way more fucking work to be done. If you are like, yeah, I know this happens, but I mean, what can I do about it? Yeah, it's time to get back to fucking work. This is for my BIWOCs as well. If we're like, oh shit, well, let me make sure that let me make sure that everything is all kind of like safe and set up and like da 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 da, and then maybe I'll speak out or speak up for Black folks, but then it's time to do the work. I'm not saying, and here's the thing. White folks, you do not get to tell any person of color how they should or should not process racism. The Black lives being taken, murdered by police bodies, by random white people who just like are like, hey, but I'm white, I can fucking do anything I want to your body, right? Because there is still the perceived ownership of your body, and how dare you say anything against my ownership of your body, right? I fucking digressed. Ugh, fucking tangent. Anyways, whatever the fuck I was saying. Black, Indigenous, women of color, people of color. If there is a space where you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to, oh yes. So white folks, you do not get to tell us how to process, how to protest, how to do anything at all. If it is in your, oh, well, maybe you should have, no. Oh, well, maybe don't you think? No. Well, what I've read and what I've studied with my coach, no. Well, maybe it's time for you to, no. If you think you're Joe Biden, you're going to tell people that they ain't Black if they don't fucking do what you want and they don't vote for you, fuck no. Fuck you and fuck no. You do not get to do that. You do not get to do that. Now you do not get to do that ever, 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 ever. Ever. You do not have the right. You do not have ownership over us, over our experience, over our bodies, over our energy, over our lives. I know you think you do because the system is set up for you to believe that. You have been encoded for years and years and years and decades and decades and decades and generations to believe that you have that ownership. But if you are in a place where you are telling Black and brown bodies how they should deal with this, if you are telling Black people right now how they should just love everyone and hashtag all lives matter, and don't you think, and what about this? No, fuck that shit, and no, absolutely not. And if you ever deign to tell a Black person that they're not Black enough, fuck that, fuck you, get the fuck out of here. This is not the place. I am not the fucking one, ever, ever. Not now, not ever. And my BIWOC, my BIPOC, my Black folks, the culture folks, my Indigenous, my brown of all persuasions. If you notice that you are in a place where you know you're being called, you're like, your soul is like, it's time to do the work, and you're not. This does not mean that it's time for you to fucking, launch a platform and like, fucking you put yourself out on the forefront and do all the damn things. However, if you're a creator and you know that you are here to affect change, then maybe it's time to actually listen to that soul calling. Maybe it's time to do the internal safety work that is required in order for you to actually be able to take a stand for the work that you know that you're here to do in the world. Because if you're not doing the internal work, the outside world, the external stuff, plus coupled with the internalized anti-Blackness that you already have, and you're like, well, I mean, maybe they shouldn't be looting, or they shouldn't be rioting in the first place. Did you hear how they were talking to the police officers? The people, if the people who were recording the George Floyd murder, if the people had spoken differently, if they had been a little bit more compliant and respectful of the police officers, then maybe, like, if any of that shit is happening, no, then it's time to get back to work, right? It's time to get back to work. If you notice that there is a place where you are, and this is Black, Indigenous, people of color, white folks, everyone, if you notice that you try to take these matters, such as what's happening in the Black community right now, to the Black community, I should say right now, and has been happening since there was a Black community on this fucking continent. Because this is not just like America as in the US. If you're fooling yourself into thinking that this shit is not happening in Canada, that this shit is not happening below, that, south of the border, this is all of the Americas, right? Central, South, everything, North, everything, all the countries therein. There is so much anti-Blackness inside of every little pocket of every little country over here that has been touched by slavery, and then of course out into the rest of the world, but specifically my experience and what we're talking about right now, what's happening in the Americas. Come on, that anti-Blackness is so fucking encoded and so interwoven throughout everything that it's time to really do your own work, your own anti-racism work. So and your own anti-blackness work. So if you have ever taken something and been like, oh, well, because, you know, it should be like this, or such, something is going on, or here's one that happens a lot. When white folks start to study any sort of anti-racism, they show up to anything that has to do with a Black cause, and they're like, well, you're not doing it for the Native Americans, or you're not doing it for trans rights, or you think that or it should be this, and you're not being inclusive. You do not ever get to do that, ever. Ever. And you get to check yourself and look at that own anti-Blackness that makes you take anything that has to do with a Black cause, or Black bodies being murdered or harmed or lynched in the fucking street, while people just, you know, all the cops are just like, I mean, this is just par for the course and nothing. And really, I mean, we can do this because we've been doing this forever. And I mean, let's get real, nothing ever happens to us. It's just kind of what we get to do, right? And if you try to take that and make it about anything else, check yourself, get back to fucking work. So if you know that you're here to affect change, you've got to be willing to do the work in your body of looking at how every time something happens, and you know, like on some level, you fucking know that it's wrong. You know how you bypass that soul's knowing, and you go into, well, I mean, I love all humans, or you go into telling people of color what they should be doing, or you try to tell Black folks that they're not being inclusive and that they should be including all of these other causes that you have nothing to do with. You're just wanting to look like you are hashtag woke, and that you are standing for something because you donated to them, or because you marched for them, or because you did, like, no, absolutely not. My Black and brown peeps, this is also a call to arms for us, that because you know that there's a message that is burning its fucking hole inside of you. The reason that it is not out there at the next level is because you are still in that, you're still in your fucking code switching. You're still in your code switching. And I recognize this shit in myself. I recognize this shit in everyone that I work with, that there is still a level of code switching that we believe to be necessary in order to be a messenger, right? Yes, it definitely happens in Canada. That we believe that in order for our message to be heard and received, that we have to do at least like a little bit of placating to white society, to our own family, to whatever systems and policies that, and you know, the institutionalized racism in and of itself, that we can't, like, we got to placate just a bit. If you notice that there is anything that you're like, oh, like easily I could go and support, like, well, shit, I'm trying to think of something. I could easily go and support, like Black gay rights, as long as there's something else attached to it, then I'm 100% for it. But if it's just like, I support Black lives, and I'm actually willing to do something about it, I'm actually willing to process my own fear and discomfort when someone darker than me walks in the room, if you're a person of color, when someone darker is born into your family, and you're like, oh gosh, oh, they're going to have a tough time in society, aren't they? Or, oh gosh, I mean, can't wait to hear what grandma says about this one, or what uncle so-and-so. Oh boy, you know that it's happening in your own family, but you're not taking a stand. It's time to get back to fucking work. If you know that you, in your own message, your messaging, your magic, your genius that you're sharing with the world, that you are sharing it and it's out there, and it's kind of like, it's cool, like my message, it's cool, right? But what happens is, I know that a good portion of the white folks in my tribe are probably going to disappear, because I've stepped up to the next level in in my own anti-racism and decolonization work on a public stage. Like, I've been doing it for years, but it's been more behind the scenes for clients and students, and it's been somewhat on the stage, somewhat, but not fully. And so some people will disappear, and there can be a fear that, oh my God, they're all going to disappear. Or there can be a fear that we are, like, legit going to be harmed, that we are going to end up like any other activist or abolitionist with black, brown skin, that that they were attacked, they were assaulted, that they were murdered, that things that like horrific atrocities happened to them because they were speaking out. So there is this fear, and it is a real fear. It is living in our body, but that is why we must do our own anti-blackness work. We must do our own decolonization work. We must do our own anti-racism, like stepping into being an active anti-racist ourselves, whether that is through teaching it or whether that is through actually stepping up and saying stuff in your own family. Like if you're in a family of color, but you know that one side is super fucking racist and they say shit all the time to your cousins or to their own kids, and you're just kind of like, oh, that's not nice, let's go play outside, but that's it. But you're not like, no, dude, here's what's happening. This is not okay. You're being this, this, and this. You're teaching them that them being darker, that is bad. You're perpetuating anti-blackness inside of our own family. You're making them afraid of people who look like them. You're turning them into someone who inherent, like who has this belief, not inherent, but who has this encoded belief that they are less than, that they are not worthy, that they get, and then society is like, well, why don't you get it together, right? Because society wants you to shift and to fit into society, but they also have done this othering, right? Where they're like, accept you're way too black, or you're way too, like you're the way that you talk, the way that you walk, the way that you act, the way that you this, the way, if you actually put your message out there at that level, I mean, if you toned it down, then if you did it this way, then, right? So there's this othering that you don't fit because you are less than, because you are not fully human, because the black body is inherently dangerous and dirty. There's a vilification that you're impervious to pain, that you can take all of these things and you're fine. You're not really human, which is why you can just stand by and look at someone being murdered in the street and you're like, I mean, he shouldn't have done it. Stay off drugs, kids. Like the Asian cop who is ridiculing and making fun of the people who are filming George Floyd's murder in front of them. Stay off drugs, kids. Ha ha ha. That is some deeply, deeply, deeply encoded anti-blackness in the body of that Asian officer. That is some deeply, deeply, deeply encoded inherent racism where he was like, and I don't know him, right? But inherent racism in bodies of color says that, you know, like, hey, if I associate less with those other people of color, then I'll be cool. Like, as long as I act really white, then maybe they'll forget that I'm not white. Maybe they'll forget that I'm actually Asian, or that I'm Hispanic, or that I'm black, or that I'm whatever. And that inherent anti-blackness, not only does it allow you to turn a blind eye to what's happening, it allows you to look at it and be completely desensitized, because you're not seeing an actual human. You're seeing less than, other. You're not like me. I mean, if someone looked like me, I wouldn't stand for that. But you, meh. I mean, you shouldn't. Stay off drugs, kid. You know, whatever. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Let's see. Hold on, I lost. Being sweet and pleasant. Yes, exactly. Yes, fuck, yes, right? And so this othering, this anti-blackness is so encoded into all of us. Do not think because you're black that you do not have encoded anti-blackness. I mean, come on. It is inherent. It is in everyone. Everyone. If you are another person of color and you think that you do not have anti-blackness, ha, you have it. If you are white and you're like, no, I have black friends. I have sex with black people. I like black dick. Yeah. I have half black kids. Yeah. I can't possibly be racist. Wrong, and hell no, wrong. If you, and I have known many white folks who loved sleeping with black people, men and women. But if there was anything that had to do with a black person being harmed, with anything that had to do with racism, like in your fucking face racism, they would explain it away. They'd laugh it away. They'd try to do all sorts of things to like pass it off, to bypass the situation. But oh, sure, they sure love sleeping with us. Sure love that. And that again goes into the othering, that the Black body is not completely human. You can have sex with it. It's fun. It's great. Oh yeah, woohoo. It also leads into take a breath, move your body if you need to. It also leads, because there is so much othering, that if a Black woman is raped, there is not the same experience in society. There's not an outrage, because the white woman's body is seen as this, like, oh, it's so tender and fragile, and oh my God, this atrocity. Oh, I cannot even. If a Black woman is raped, there is, I mean, damn, I mean, that sucks. There's nowhere near a similar reaction, because that Black woman's body is not seen as fully human. And whew, take a fucking breath here. There is also generations of encoding that ownership of a Black woman's body is exciting. And so especially in white males' bodies, there is very often a bit of excitement that can come through around sex with a Black woman, around raping a Black woman, because I mean, for generations, that's just what they got to do. It was like no one could tell them anything. It was just their right. It was their perceived right. And so, especially if you're still in that deep encoding of that's, I mean, it's not really a human. It's just like female shaped thing. How could it possibly have the same reaction? How could there possibly be the same reaction to a white woman being assaulted? It is completely different, completely fucking different. Yes, you are right. Yeah. And it, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Was there anything else that I wanted to share with you? I'm going to share this here. So maybe this is where we close. I'm not sure. We'll see. There is a phenomenon, which if you've studied with me before, known as white women's tears. If you haven't heard this before, it's a thing. And it is that when a white woman starts to cry because she is all up in her triggers, she is in her white fragility around something that a Black person did, which was evidenced by what the fuck is her name, Amy Cooper, in the park, right? There is like, oh no, and these tears, this, oh my gosh, like something like it just, it is a false cry of rape, of touching, of they're hurting me, they're a danger to me. And then something horrible then happens to the Black body: murder, assault, being taken to prison, being disappeared, especially different parts of different countries. You're just disappeared. Like, you're never heard from again. It's done. It's just done. You're gone. Like, that's it. This is what white women's tears can affect. Now, this is such a deep encoding, is really passed down. If you look at slavery, if a Black woman didn't get out of the way, or didn't do something fast enough, or didn't, or blinked, it didn't fucking matter. And a white woman didn't like it, she could just start crying and everyone would come running to her rescue, and horrific things would happen to the Black person that she pointed the finger at. There is, if you ever go into any like Black African American museums, there is, I can't remember his name, but there was a little Black boy who was playing with a little white girl. This happened a long time ago. And he leaned over and hugged her. They were like 5, 6, I don't know. That little boy, for having the audacity to touch a white female body, was castrated and killed. Do you see this? This is the encoding that is passed down, because Black children are made to, because of anti-Blackness, Black children are they're older and stronger. Like a 5-year-old, like, oh, of course, like it was this, horrible sexual, like demonic thing that he was trying to do to this poor little white girl, and all of these things, right? That is why you see so many like young Black boys who are like 12, 13, and they're tried as an adult, because the encoded anti-Blackness says that, oh yes, he's Black, he's just like a man, he's like a grown man, he should have known better, he should have fucking known better. This is also what over sexualizes young Black girls, that they want it. that leads to a lot of assault. Yes, they wanted it. They were asking for it because they're look at their body. That this is this, and this is this. There's also a deep encoding around ownership over the Black body. And all of these things, all of these aspects of anti-Blackness, when a white woman cries or says that anything happened, something horrific, very often, then the repercussions of a white woman crying and pointing a finger, that something horrific generally happens to the Black body. This is why there's also an encoded dissonance in many Black and brown bodies when a white woman cries, that there's a disconnect. It's like, great, fucking great. What's going to happen? Because the encoding there is that when a white woman cries, something really fucking bad is going to happen to me or someone who looks like me. And so I invite you to look at how you move through the world, how you look at and engage with Black bodies, whether those are light-skinned Black bodies or dark-skinned Black bodies, whether that is a Black body from, Central or South America, and you're like, oh, but they speak Spanish, so that, I mean, they're not as bad. Like, so they're not like black, right? This is like for my clients and students and all of the things over the years, like, oh yeah, they fucking love if I'm like all raw and primal and yes and yes and yes. But if I really brought this, if I brought the full on, like, this is the fucking daily experience of being in this skin, and with this is with the amount of privilege from having lighter skin, right? And this is the amount of privilege from being born into, I mean, various different social whatever classes, but even like lower middle class, and then moving into like middle class, and then like upper middle, like all of those things as I was younger, which had nothing to do with me. Like I had absolutely, I wasn't doing anything, but moving through those whatever, but that was a deeper separation from many other Black and brown folks, and that was even more privilege. So even me, with all of the privilege in a Black body, God, that I get to live with every day, like the pain and the racism and the fucking atrocities that I see and I witness and I hear about, and I hear like white people giggling about, and the biases and the prejudices and all of these things, and having to choose, was today the day I take a fucking stand? Ooh, for this thing in this moment, do I take, and going back and forth, being in a state of hypervigilance. Like, if you want to talk about being safe in your own body, Black bodies have an inherent lack of safety because our bodies for generations have been thought to belong to white bodies. And so there is a space of hypervigilance that is then passed down from generation to generation. This looks like, and I learned this from Resman. I was like, oh my God, this is my entire life. But this looks like when a Black mom has, her kid is an adult, and the Black mom is still calling this adult kid, like, are you okay? You good? How are you? You good? Okay, good. Okay, good. Like, I do this with my family. I'm like, how are you guys? Everything good? They like text to say hello. I'm like, you guys good? What's happening? You all right? We're good. We're cool. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, this is just me. I'm a worry wart. And like, could it some be personality? Yes. And also there is a hypervigilance that has been passed down and encoded. And we're not going to go into epigenetics and all that right now, but the way that it is expressed through our DNA is very often a hypervigilance response, which is a threat response, right? Like, your body is actually in this constant state of like, we good? We good? And then you're like, oh yeah, but like, let's just drop into safety. Let's be safe. Let's be safe. Let's be safe. When your body is in a state of almost constant hypervigilance just for being Black, there is a whole other level that comes with like, yeah, I'm actually going to access full safety around my trauma healing work, around my messaging, around my platform, around stepping out and doing the work that I'm here to do in the world. All of these things come with a very, very fucking deep layer of needing to do extra work to simply feel safe in your own body. And I think we'll leave it there. So here's an invitation for you. Once I'm not going to email again tonight. but you can check back tonight or wait until tomorrow. I will have the resource list up, and I invite you to start doing your work. The resource list is going to be really fucking helpful, excuse me, for white, Black, doesn't matter, Indigenous, people of color, doesn't matter. The resource list is going to be very helpful. I know like a lot of BIPOC that we're not already doing our own anti-racism work, our own anti-Blackness work, and that can look like lots of unprocessed trauma. And if you're not doing trauma healing work, then it's really hard to really go to the next level in your fucking work as a creator, because you're not working with all of the shit that's been living in your body and that's been passed down from generation to generation. And so really, really fucking profound to do this. White folks, if you're committed to being an anti-racist, then go through the resource list, look at hiring someone who actually like this is the work that they do in the world, and they are full on fucking committed to being a resource to help fucking like end racism and help like Black people stop being fucking murdered all the damn time, and to like, hey, maybe you know, some indigenous land will actually you know, be well, I was going to say that the land will be free. The land is free. Land is free. But this perceived white ownership of the land will cease, and indigenous bodies will actually be able to have, you know, all the fucking amenities that, you know, you can get off of the reservation. Okay. So I invite you, whether you are a person of color, whether you're white, to drop into the resource list and to see where, notice your fucking triggers, notice them, notice where you're like, oh yeah, I really love working with, whether that's someone like me, whether that's other people of color, as long as they don't actually show you their fucking pain, as long as they don't actually show you or tell you or talk to you about day-to-day life, as long as they don't say anything where you're like, oh my God, I'm so up in my triggers and I can't believe this, and you're not being called in on your own projections and your own distortions and your own anti-Blackness and racism and your harmful biases and all of these things. If you're only hanging out and you're only hiring and you're only working with, or you're only taking on clients, like if you are not doing your anti-racism work and you call yourself a trauma healer, fuck, dude, fuck. I can't. I really fucking can't. I fucking cannot. I fucking cannot. The amount of re-traumatization that happens for Black and brown bodies with white trauma therapists and healers who do not do their own anti-racism work and then project their shit and do all of this fucking gaslighting to their Black and brown clients. Well, I mean, do you think that it's possible that you might have been overreacting and taking that the wrong way? Maybe that's not what they meant. Fuck that. No. If you want to do trauma work and you want to actually work with people of color as clients, fucking get to work. Fucking get to work. Get to fucking work. To say it another way, do the work. Do the work and do it now. So wait for the, or not wait, but look for the resources. There are so many others. I highly recommend, if you do not already have it, Resume Medicaments in My Grandmother's Hands. I know I say this all the time, but it's because it comes from a body-based approach, a somatic approach. So this is like, you can't become an anti-racist by thinking about it, by just like kind of working on your mindset and being like, I like Black people. Black people are good. Black people are safe. Like, it's not gonna fucking work, right? It's just not gonna work, okay? Like, go start with the book. It's an amazing place to start. White fragility. Also, if you're in a white body, or if you're in a body of color, but specifically if you're in a white body, read White Fragility to start to actually look at and understand all of the triggers and like things that can begin to happen when even these conversations start. If you think that you're conscious and spiritual and all of these things, and yet you have not done years and years, like let's say you've been doing yoga, like, oh yeah, you can do yoga for 10 years, but you haven't been doing anti-racism work. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, no, this is, you're being called in. You're being called in. You don't get to use the teachings of specific of indigenous and melanated cultures for fun, for shits and giggles, but you don't actually do the work around stopping the oppression of those same peoples. You don't get to do, like, it's not shit ain't cool. It's not cool. It's so not fucking cool. So do the work. You don't get to study tantra and be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be this amazing like tantrika and call yourself a tantrika, and or you're gonna change your name to Devi. And I trust me, like I know many Devis. This is nothing against anyone who's had their name changed to Devi. Not that it was against their will or anything like that. But you're not doing anti-racism work. Come on now. No, it's just an absolute fucking no. You don't get to go into medicine ceremony and do sweat lodge and like, yes, and do and work with all of these plant medicines and do all of these indigenous transitions, transmissions and teachings and go to Africa and take pictures with little black babies and make yourself look so fucking cool and talk about how fucking 12D you are and how past, how over this stuff like racism. Oh my God, it's so 3D. Like, guys, get it together. All of you down there. Fuck no. Fuck that shit. Absolutely not. And please, for fuck's sake, stop taking pictures with black and brown babies like they're your fucking props to show how fucking cool and how down you are. Stop. Fucking stop. We are not props. This is the othering. This is that anti-blackness othering shit. You don't get to go to wherever, like to Zambia. You don't get to go to India. You don't get to go to Peru. You don't get to go to don't go to the res. Don't go do all and take all of these photos with black and brown kids and post them on your Instagram with how fucking dope you are and how cool you are. Stop that shit. Stop it now and go do your fucking anti-racism work. Go do your anti-blackness work. Drop in, start noticing what's happening in your body. Why you think that it's, oh yeah, it's super cool to take photos with all of these kids and post it on your Instagram. And yet you, like, how many years have you been studying and doing like deep anti-racism and anti-blackness work on the regular? How many years have you actually been doing your decolonization work? Check yourself. And if you're like, oh my God, but I have a million like photos on Instagram with all of the, the mission, the quote unquote mission work, or, I went with the whatever organization and but I oh my God, but I built homes and I did all, whatever. Cool. It's on your Instagram. You did the thing. We don't go back. We don't sit there and be all up in the shame and the blame and the guilt, especially the white guilt around being white. We don't need to hear about how guilty you feel and about what you've done in the past. Right now, right here, what are you going to do about who you are? What are you willing to do about who you are, who you say that you are? You say that you take a stand for the liberation of people. That means the liberation of all. Liberation for one means absolutely nothing without the liberation for all. And that means black bodies. And so if you are not taking a stand for black bodies, if you're not taking a stand for decolonization and anti-racism, and specifically also not just like the other races that you're not so afraid of or you're not so like othering towards, but also black bodies, right? If you're not doing that work, this is a call to arms. Accept it or don't. But if you don't accept it, one, we can't hang. I'm just fucking done. I'm not willing to one, have clients who are not doing this work, like especially high level. If you want to work with me high level and you're white, and if you're a person of color, but very specifically if you're white, you may not hire me if you're not doing your anti-racism work and your anti-blackness work. You don't get to like come and hang out with me and be all up in the magic and the fucking primal and the raw and the rewilding if you're not actually taking a stand for me to actually to be safe when I walk out the fucking door. Like, you may not. I'm fucking not. Like, it's not allowed. And if you're just in my greater tribe and you're never going to buy from me, but you just like love my musings and just stop reading, stop watching, all that stuff, if you're not also willing to drop into this, because this is a part of me, it's a part of my life, and I'm wholly unavailable. I'm wholly unavailable for people in my life who are not willing to put their fucking action and their message and their art on the line, their business on the line, when it comes to something that is so fucking deeply ingrained and entrenched in the world, very much in all of the Americas, or all aspects of the Americas, but everywhere. If you're not willing, then we're not meant to be, and we can no longer hang. And that's that. And that's that. Like, and it's a great thing, because then it's like, I'm showing you like, this is the depths, right? And if you're not down for anti-Blackness, like really understanding that, working on your decolonization, working on your anti-racism, then you're showing me who you are. And it just means that you and I are not meant to dance on this primordial dance floor. And that's that. Yes. Thank you, Pamela. Amazing. Jen, here, all in. Fuck yes, Jen. Oh, absolutely. Wait for you. Yes, Pamela, thank you so much. Amanda, thank you for sharing your voice. I am listening and learning. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening and thank you for learning. Absolutely. All right, lovies. Check back. I'm not going to promise tonight. It might be up tonight, but tomorrow, most likely. The resource list will be up. But in the meantime, get those 2 books. Have a start. You can follow Resma on Instagram. What the hell is his handle? I don't know. But it's Resma. Pamela spelled it in there. You can just search for him on Instagram. His site is just resma.com. I'm not sure if Robin is on, the author of White Fragility. I'm not sure if she's on Instagram or not, but you can find her. You can find her wherever the fuck you find people. She's there. She's there. Yes, Nikka, I'm all in here with you always. Yes, Pamela, I know. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. All right. Well, loves, thank you for being here. I know this is the good shit. This is the deep shit. Yeah. That's it. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having an amazing day in this big, beautiful world of ours. If you're like, I have questions. If you're white, go to the resource list. It'll be out tomorrow. Stay tuned. If you are Black, you're a person of color, you haven't already joined us in Skin, then you can reach out to me. Just DM me on Instagram if you have any questions, and we can, of course, drop in a bit and see if it's a fit for you. So, yes, I'll be doing more of these. Don't know whenever the fuck, but stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like thingy. Turn on the bell, notifications, all that jazz. Do the stuff. Yes, and also share this out with all the people that need to see it. I'll probably put this on. I'll probably make a page or something. I'll probably put this in my Instagram bio. How about that? And also, if you haven't donated to any funds, and put your like, so yes, put your message, put your message where your mouth is, right? Like, so the way that you show up, the way that you're messaging, the way that you're creating, the way that you run your business, the way that your business is like in the world. Yes, fucking take a stand for anti-racism, like be an anti-racist in that. Take a stand against anti-Blackness. Take a stand against colonization and the perpetuation of it in all the ways. And also, like, if you're able to, then you put your money to it as well. So if you're not quite sure, you can go check out Grassroots Law with Sean King and Lee Merritt. You can go to Sean King's page. You can go to, there are a bunch of people. So many people. Minnesota Freedom Fund. There's a lot of things that you can also begin to get involved in now as well. Rachel Cargill, she has The Great Unlearn. I haven't done it, but I know that I know from what I understand, her work is like super fucking profound, and she works with white bodies to really fucking help you like go deep, deep, deep and unraveling what's happening. And Andrea Renee also does the same, and Layla Saad also does the same. So those are some who specifically work with white bodies. Resma and Robin have some teachings together where they work with white bodies. Resma and Kareen Bell program that I'm in Body Gatherings, it's somatic abolitionism, specifically right now only for Black women, and then it will open up to other women of color, and then it will open up to white-bodied women as well. But yeah, so that's a bunch of stuff. Have at it, and then the actual resource list will be up at some point. Yeah, if you feel called to work with me, obviously, and get at your girl. And Embodied as Fuck, it's actually coming. It's coming this week. It's been a long time. Last week it just wasn't. It wasn't fucking happening. And again, don't buy it if you're not ready to do the damn work, because I'm just saying, like, I'm not available for any clients in any way, shape, or form who are not willing to take a stand for the safety of Black bodies out in the world, the safety of all melanated bodies out in the world, but specifically, if you're not willing to take a stand against or for Black bodies and against anti-Blackness, don't buy my stuff. But if you are willing, then it's coming soon. Yeah, I love you. That's it. for real this time. Have an amazing day or night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for holding such epic fucking space with one another. I know you guys were like all up in the chat and just like dropping in together. I so fucking appreciate that. Ooh, so good as always. Here's to your untaming. Bye, wild ones. Love you.